I already broke down Kamala's interview on Fox News. We all know that she did great. We will cover that throughout the video, but now is the time to break down the ensuing chaos in the MAGA world. The attempted gaslighting, the spinning. Don Jr. immediately went on Jesse Waters and said Kamala was unhinged. She floundered. She couldn't even answer a question, and Brett Baier was doing amazing. I mean, a complete flip on reality. With 20 days to go, we have no time to waste. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and before we hop into some of these clips, I want to lay the groundwork by showing you how Don Jr. has been acting over the past few months. I want you to keep in mind, as I play this clip, we did not speed this up or alter it in any way. Don Jr. genuinely was talking this quickly during an interview with JD Vance a few months back.
Like, there's some of them are like, we don't even want white women. Like, it doesn't, like, we need to check like 3 or 4 boxes so you can end up in, like, if you're like, you know, a trans communist, this, that, and the other, like, you too can be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company with no experience whatsoever. He's actually spent real time with them. Like, and he's sort of, I would say he's the blue-collar billionaire. And 15 years ago when I said it, people used to shit all over me, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't understand. And now they understand. What the borders are, wrote the article. It wasn't even like it was the same publication. It was the same journalist. I'm like, this you? Like, to literally save democracy, because it's literally at risk, JD. That's why
I hate the way that he's sitting right now. He's doing like a mini Trump stance. Why? There's no reason for your legs to be spread this much, or there's no reason to sit like that.
Yes. Notion that, you know, democracy is all things, but if the elite, meaning, you know, Barack Obama, the Clintons, a couple billionaire donors be like, okay, this isn't working. We're going to take everything we gave you. We didn't give you any other options. We threw, you know, RFK off the ticket.
Yep. Okay, so you guys get the point. Donald Trump Jr. is a speed talker, to say the least. And I love how at the bottom they have ads for Rumble, which is a right-wing app, because they have to funnel people into their little right-wing ecosystem, which is the broader pattern you'll see throughout this video. I'm going to show you how the right-wing ecosystem blocks off any actual facts. And Kamala Harris actually calls that out during the Fox News interview. She says, can we actually work in a factual reality here, Brett Baier? She tries to steer him back to the real world because he was trying to engage her on MAGA turf, meaning he was asking her questions from a MAGA framework. I said in my last video, he might as well have been asking her about Haitian immigrants in Ohio the way he was lobbing conspiracy theories at her. And she said, let's speak into factual reality. Here's Don Jr. calling her unhinged.
She's going to get steamrolled. This is not a competent person that can handle this. She got unhinged in a very basic interview. Our enemies would love a Kamala Harris presidency.
You want to talk about unhinged in a very basic interview? The Kamala Harris campaign responded. Their rapid response team said, Trump versus Harris, Fox News appearances on the same day.
Amba Thurman's family have come out on a press call, and they're doing what's called a prebuttal to our town hall right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I want to
get better ratings, I promise.
Turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
It really happens if you make donuts. You have the stoves, you have the dish.
And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
Kamala Harris has said you sounded unhinged, and unchecked power is in our future. What do you say about that?
I thought it was a nice presentation. Two enemies. We have the outside enemy, and then we have the enemy from within. And the enemy from within, in my opinion, is more dangerous than China, Russia, and all these countries.
Here's the box.
You know, that actually pisses me off because Brett Baier refused to play that clip of Donald Trump. He just conveniently played the clip of Donald Trump responding to the accusations that he is divisive. But you can already see halfway through the difference between these two. VP Kamala Harris clearly has a much more forward-looking message. How can we heal the American people? Donald Trump is running a campaign based off grievances. He sounds like the Joker half the time.
Dangerous in China, Russia, and all these countries.
Here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people.
He genuinely has. Now back to the spin machine on Fox News after. Let's see what Sean Hannity had to say in a post-interview report a few hours after Kamala Harris left the Fox News studios.
He didn't let Kamala off the hook. He pressed her repeatedly. Needless to say, I'd say the joy is gone in the Harris campaign tonight, and her obvious anger, that was on full display.
Is the joy gone? Something we talk a lot about on the show is how Fox News likes to mirror reality perfectly. When Donald Trump tried to steal the 2020 election in 100 different ways, Fox News and the MAGA ecosystem said Democrats stole the election. They say Democrats are divisive. They are now trying to rewrite history and say Democrats are the ones who amped up the tension in American politics after the Trump assassination attempt, even though Trump is the one who entered American politics making the claim that Barack Obama wasn't born in America. He's the divisive one.
If she can't do 20 minutes with Bret Baier, how's she going to do against Vladimir Putin?
How is Donald Trump going to do against Vladimir Putin, who he's been taking calls with, who he is buddy with? He bullies Zelensky in favor of Putin. Back to the Fox News spin machine. Let's see what Don Jr. said after.
Like me, who's been paying attention, and it should be evidence to the rest of Americans once they see that interview. But of course, I'm sure the mainstream media will not show anyone a single clip because that would be the end.
Are you kidding me?
Of their propaganda. Yeah.
Let me play this one more time. Look how awkward their smile is. And Don Jr. does seem to be talking quickly with a lot of speed.
One like me who's been paying attention, and it should be evidence to the rest of Americans once they see that interview. But of course, I'm sure the mainstream media will not show anyone a single clip because that would be the end of their propaganda. Yeah.
You know what's funny about him saying that? Anderson Cooper just played it on CNN. They just replayed parts of the interview on MSNBC. We have clips coming out from international stations, but Fox News is the one that has not played a single moment from the interview again. If the mainstream media is refusing to cover anything, it wouldn't be Kamala's interview, as Donald Trump Jr. claims here. It would be the fact that Donald Trump is grifting throughout his entire campaign. How many times have you seen the mainstream media talk about this World Liberty Financial Token? Meanwhile, Donald Trump is getting fact-checked even on X. Let me play this clip and read the fact check.
Big news, the World Liberty Financial Token sale is now live. Crypto is the future.
This dude has done like 15 videos hawking some sort of product over the past 2 months, and on Twitter they say, in the fine print, it knows that the token is not transferable and is locked in the wallet, so you cannot withdraw until the scheme sees fit to allow it. Read the small print. He is grifting, and the mainstream media refuses to cover it. It's another prime example of Donald Trump Jr., the MAGA ecosystem flipping reality on its head. They said two things. They said, number one, the mainstream media refuses to cover Kamala, but they'll play that interview relentlessly and they won't cover this. But they also say that Kamala is corrupt and profiting off her campaign in some way, but Donald Trump is the one who is profiting every step of the way. Here's Don Jr. again, talking about McDonald's, of course, the issues that Americans really care about.
Listen, I think my father knows the McDonald's menu much better than Kamala Harris ever did, and yet she can't.
Is that a fat joke? We don't want fat jokes. That is not allowed around here. Let's see what Anderson Cooper had to say about the interview that the mainstream media won't platform, apparently.
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times.
I mean, Bret Baier did not actually show the clip where he actually does talk about the enemy within, so it was an interesting choice that they made in that. The vice president was correct. I mean, Harris Faulkner played for Trump the clip of his enemy within. Harris Faulkner actually played that clip for the former president, then asked him, Mr. President, Kamala Harris has said you sounded unhinged and unchecked. Power is in our future. What do you say about that? And Trump actually doubled down on this, so let's watch.
It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick.
Again, interesting choice by Fox not to actually play that part of the answer. But CNN is also reporting that Fox News did not disclose that the female audience it selected for was billed as an all-women town hall
And MeidasTouch broke that story.
Packed with local Trump Republicans.
It was packed with local Trump Republicans. Number one, MeidasTouch broke that story. Credit to the team over at Meidas. Number two, it enrages me how Fox News is very intentionally trying to downplay Donald Trump's divisiveness by splicing up clips, cherry-picking clips. You almost have to cherry pick clips where Donald Trump is not being divisive because he's always talking about how Democrats are the enemy from within. We're communists, we're fascists, we're Marxists, we're all of the above, all of the worst things possible. We're eating babies. So they had to find that one clip where Donald Trump isn't being divisive, and they play that and try to sane wash everything that he's done. It's a disgusting tactic, and you know, it's another example of Republicans flipping reality on its head because Trump is the one that's been saying 60 Minutes has been engaging in election interference because they spliced up one clip of Kamala Harris in an interview and then released that clip the next day. If they wanted to interfere with the election, why would they release that clip the next day? Let's see what the former Republican Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, has to say. He endorsed VP Harris, and now he explains it perfectly.
Well, I think we first got to start off. She dove into the deep end of the pool with Fox News and Bret Baier, and she did extremely well. She answered the questions on message. And, you know, look, the Republicans she's trying to track down right now at this point in the campaign are not the Republicans she's going to flip from Trump to herself. She's just trying to flip those Republicans that weren't going to show up and vote and just sit on the couch. I think they heard a message today that was consistent, and they were able to figure out, do they want somebody who's more liberal than they are or somebody who lies to them every day? And I think at the end of the day, more Republicans that sit in the middle are going to flock towards somebody that they can legislatively work with that's more liberal, but doesn't lie to them every time he opens his mouth.
Jonah.
And Kamala Harris is pretty perfectly center-left as well. Republicans try to paint her as extreme, but she is center-left on just about every single issue. Let's see what Republican voters in a deep red county of Georgia has to say about VP Harris.
I have voted Republican, you know. Yeah. I vote for the man. I don't vote for their party.
So what are your thoughts on the election?
What are my thoughts on what?
On the election.
Ain't much to think about it.
Well, who are you going to vote for?
The right person.
Well, who do you think the right person
It won't
is?
be Donald Trump.
Okay, tell me why.
Last time you saw him talking, did you watch his lips?
Uh-huh.
Were they moving?
Uh-huh.
He's lying.
All right, well, so Mr. Wilson here was telling us that January 6th was a big disqualifier for him.
It should have been.
How do you feel about that?
I feel about it like he's anti-American. He's trying to overthrow our government.
And so are you thinking about voting for Harris?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. That makes me very happy. Now, right after the Kamala interview, Pete Buttigieg hopped on Caitlin Collins' show. Let's see how that went. There's some viral clips here.
Joe Biden won. Donald Trump lost. And anybody who cannot bring themselves to say that out loud, just the way I, as much as it pains me, will say Donald Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost the election back in 2016. If you can't say that, that is literally disqualifying for the vice presidency or the presidency.
That was in reference to J.D. Vance saying earlier that Donald Trump won the election. Oh, Bret Baier just hopped on Fox News for a post-interview interview. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, obviously, thanks, Sean. It's great to see you. It was a little tense. We were given the time of 5 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, my show is at 6 p.m. They wanted to tape at 5 p.m. We said we were going to tape as live. In other words, roll the tape and then just turn that around unedited, uninterrupted, and but we had to do it before 5:15. Otherwise, we couldn't turn the whole machine around before the top of the 6 p.m. show. So we were waiting at 4:55, and then 5, and then 5:05, and then 5:10. At 5:17, the vice president walked out. So it did feel a little bit like they're icing the kicker or trying to. And originally they were talking about 25 minutes and they gave us 20 minutes. And I was fine with any time. I was really happy to get the interview.
There's one word for this. It's called cope. This man is coping about getting his ass kicked in an interview. VP Harris is both campaigning and she's the vice president of the United States right now, in charge of a lot of international relations and important stuff. She's been meeting with foreign leaders and prepping in case she wins. I'm sorry she was Bear's 17 minutes late on schedule compared to Donald Trump's hours and hours he's late that causes people to walk out of his rallies. I mean, Bret Baier seems pretty down. This is not somebody who did well. This is somebody who probably got a text from Donald Trump after saying, hey man, there's ketchup all over the wall. You really let me down. We just got another clip of Bret Baier. Let's see how he's coping in this one.
I actually think this is a different take. I think she had a mission that she wanted to do, and maybe she wanted to have a viral moment. She wanted to have a pushback. She came to Fox News and she wanted to have a go after Donald Trump viral moment that plays on a lot of other channels and on social media. And I think she may have gotten that.
I'm sorry, do you not know how the game works? Do you not know the phrase, don't hate the player, hate the game? Donald Trump is the one for years who has manipulated the media for headlines, for viral clips. He says things. He plays cat and mouse with the FBI or with his tax returns or with documents just to grab headlines, yet VP Harris can't strategically maneuver through an interview about 20 days before the election. I mean, did you expect her not to be strategic? Did you expect her not to try to get viral sound bites in an interview with Fox News? And the thing is, Bret Baier is just mad that she played the game better than him because he tried to do a gotcha moment where, number one, she says something bad about MAGA Americans. He said, do you think MAGA Americans are dumb or unintelligent? Trying to bait her into saying something. She didn't take it. And then he played the wrong clip. Did somebody in the back room play the wrong clip during that moment? Because that is genuinely what it feels like. Did someone in the back room play the wrong clip during that moment? Because that's genuinely what it feels like. But the overarching thread throughout this video has to be that Fox News flips reality on its head and they are spinning hard. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe. Have a great day and peace out.